Hey guys, Grumpy here with another episode of Fast 5. We got a lot done in the previous episode. Um, we secured that alpha core that we were chasing. I finally got around to doing that. And then we raided some merchant convoys, sold off the goods for some much needed credits. We used those credits to better our fleet. We restored up our ships, bought some really nice weapons there, equipped everybody with the latest and greatest. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this episode because some really cool things happened and I can't wait to share them with you. Alright, so kicking off today's episode, we get lucky again. I visit another bar here in Mayasura, talk to a pirate, and they tell me for 27,000 credits and 50 marines, I can get my hands on a griffin. Very easy decision. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. The griffin's a great missile ship. Missiles, of course, allow you to project power through your ships. So, you know, even if something is sitting in front of the Griffin, it's going to be able to shoot over it, and it's going to be able to apply that pressure, be it kinetic or high explosive. The way I'm going to build this Griffin, though, is with ECCM package and Squall missiles. That way it can hit things as small as frigates. We really need that, especially with such a small fleet. Getting surrounded by frigates or destroyers could be a death sentence. So really great to add that to my fleet. And now, here is the fleet. So with that Griffin, I can pull a task force together for a very special battle that I want to attempt. So here we have a Dominator, the Brilliant, the Griffin that I just purchased, a Legion 14. I really enjoy the Legion 14, and I wanted to include it in this episode, but I'm kind of like crunched for time. You didn't miss much. It was just floating in an asteroid belt, so that's where I found that. Anyway, here's the Dominator. Very unique, atypical build. I might do a ship showcase on this design. It's partially for memes, but it's also very effective for what I need to do with it. So, it maximizes speed and high explosive damage, which is just perfect. Next up, I have the Brilliant here. Um, Again, there is some focus on high explosive damage, but also a focus on beam weapons, long range beam weapons specifically. So we have the high intensity laser, which does kinetic damage, and then we have the ion beam, which does EMP damage. Next up, we have the Griffin. It is all harpoons except for one locus, and everything is linked. The reason for this is harpoons are considered finishers, so the AI doesn't like to use them flippantly. By linking them to another weapon system, um, the AI is forced into using them. Next up, we have the Legion. The Legion, again, all high explosive weaponry. You might be able to guess where this is going. The drones, or the fighter bays, are filled with fighters that have a lot in their group. I don't really care about the sparks or the claws. I just need fighter groups with as many um, ships in there as possible, or I should say strike craft. Anyway, and then finally there's the Aurora. Um, the only difference there is I think they're swarmers instead of um, reapers, and then for sabos I think I swapped those out for harpoons. Anyway, we're gonna go a little bit north of YMA, a little bit east of Mayasura, and see what's waiting for us there. That's right. It's time for the alpha site. So I really want to secure the ziggurat. Um, for those of you that don't know, the ziggurat is a very, very, very powerful phase ship. It has a special ability which is called, I think it's called like motes or something. But the motes, they do EMP damage, very lethal. Um, they hop over shields, they do damage to your ships, they disable your weapon systems, and the ziggurat would be a perfect addition to our fleet. Those motes have a very large AoE like area of denial. So they're really good at fighting off frigates, really good at pressuring capital ships, right, turning off their weapon systems. So you can use your moats to react to any like sudden like missile spam or something that you just didn't account for. Your moats can fling themselves across the battlefield in a pretty generous area and just support you however you need them to, whether it be offensively or defensively. So when going against the ziggurat, I chose to pilot the Dominator. The Dominator had a very funky build to it. It was mostly focusing on speed and high explosive damage. I didn't really need the range, of course, because my plan was the Legion would tank the ziggurat. The Legion has heavy armor, um, so it would be effective at soaking up moats. And then me and the Dominator, I also have heavy armor, so I would stand by the Legion, and then um, we would cycle back and forth, keeping the Legion's attention with our high explosive damage, while also eating those moats. Now, unfortunately, what happened was, and you can rewind here, I hit burn drive, thinking it was maneuvering jets. No, I thought it was accelerated ammo feed, and I shot right across the bow of the ziggurat. um, Completely in front of the Legion, completely in front of the rest of my fleet, and promptly was torn to shreds. Thankfully, the Griffin survived our initial contact and was able to use a lot of those harpoons and locust swarms to do a ton of damage to the ziggurat. If you look at it right now, there's no armor left on the ziggurat, pretty much. It's been hit from every angle. So we secure it without too much difficulty. The Legion did play a good role of absorbing most of those moats. It would have been a lot cleaner and a lot less riskier if I didn't accidentally burn drive in front of the ziggurat. But overall, very happy to include this in the fleet. Awesome ship. Um, can't wait to put it to good use. But you know what would be better than one super ship in our fleet? What if we had two? I ended up heading back to the high danger beacon that was out there. Um, Now with the ziggurat in our fleet, I feel a lot more comfortable facing Remnant Ordos, and I think to myself, what if we included a Radiant into our fleet? So, um, I do have the automated ship perk. I do have a couple alpha cores laying around. So, I go on the task of visiting the High Beacon, trying to lure a single Remnant Ordo, with a Radiant in it, of course, and fighting the Remnant Ordo. Um, if I do get the Radiant, if I don't get the Radiant, then transverse jump out, head back to my Sora, rest, refit, repair, and then come back out to the same high beacon site. It's, I believe, northeast of Myasora. Um, I'll I'll include a map. I'll probably put the map on the Discord so you can see the areas that I've been to. But it's northeast. I don't remember the star name, but if you pause the video, it should be in the bottom right corner, I believe. Anyway, so here's a Remnant Ordo. Um, it's the same strategy as I would face any other fleet. It begins with the monitor going far forward. I want to identify what threats are out there and where they are. Um, HL in the monitors, she's just an absolute beast, completely unfazed by their attacks. The only thing that can potentially stop her is a Tachyon Lance, um, but it has to be a lot of Tachyon Lances following up a ton of Sabo spam. But anyway, we send the monitor forward first. I use a... Oh, I didn't talk about my build. On the Ziggurat, I went with the Tachyon Lance build. So basically, it uses two Tachyon Lances and Phase Anchor. Phase Anchor speeds up the cooldown of Tachyon Lances, allowing you to get 2 to 3 more bursts than you normally would without Phase Anchor. Anyway, we send the monitor forward, we group up the fleet, and then we start delegating targets from there. Um, I tell the monitor to go attack a brilliant. Normally it would be the Radiant, but right now the Radiant's in the middle of a bunch of other ships, and I think this is an opportunity that we can take down the Radiant. So I kind of start to focus on that, and then I see what ships are escorting the Radiant, and see if we can't get rid of them. I noticed the Griffin is being tied up by a Glimmer, and my Brilliant is being tied up by a Lumen. So um, I give them eliminate commands so that I can get their help, which would be nice. But anyway, here I'm using the moats defensively. I just want to keep the Radiant a little busy right now. I don't think I can kill it myself. I'm definitely going to need assistance on that. But the moats will turn off its weapon systems to keep it flamed out. Um, a a a lame Radiant is a good Radiant. You don't want it to use its engines to spin around quickly, and you don't want it to have access to its like many missiles. Um, so here I'm evaluating the battlefield, figuring out what I want to go where. Um, I saw that the Lumen was just destroyed by the Brilliant. I want to get rid of the Brilliant that's next to the Radiant. If we can get rid of that first, right now my Griffin's working on, or my Aurora's gonna work on that. But if we can get rid of that Brilliant first, then I think between the Aurora, the Griffin, and the Brilliant, if it does come back, we should be able to take the Radiant down. Radiants are very difficult ships. They have a lot of armaments. They're not fairly designed. They are designed to be difficult to fight. They represent the end game challenge. They are like the pinnacle ship. A Radiant can easily solo most conventional fleets, and if you use Neuralink, which is another perk, in conjunction with I think Neural Integrator, you can control the Radiant yourself. And in the player's hands, a well-designed Radiant is nigh unstoppable, except for going against like another Remnant Ordo fleet. But you can solo a lot of conventional fleets in a single Radiant. Anyway, I'm doing a little back and forth. I'm trying to evaluate like where I should go with my fleet. If I should help kill the Brilliant, if I should just keep the Radiant busy. Um, Doing a little back and forth, just seeing what works best for my fleet. I try to get the Brilliant out of there because I see it's starting to get surrounded. Um, and I don't really have very many options. I tried giving it a control command or a capture command to bring it back, but it's kind of stranded at this point. Anyway, I don't know if the Brilliant's gonna make it, but I decide to see if I can push through the Radiant. Between the Aurora and the Griffin, we can pretty much um, flux the Radiant up, so we can get rid of its shielding. And then between my Tachyon Lances and Swarmer missiles that I have dotting the ship, we should be able to take it down. Once we can take it down, we can carve a path to go save the Brilliant. Um, I really don't want to leave that ship stranded. It's not good by itself. It's better as support. Anyway, we get lucky here while pressuring the Radiant. Normally it phase skims away, which is another one of its special abilities. But we got really lucky here, and we were able to overload it. So I use all of my Swarmers. I use my Reapers that I also have to go ahead and put the nail in the coffin in this Radiant and secure that kill. Evaluating where the Brilliant is, I see it's still getting surrounded, so I cancel most of the orders on the battlefield that are pending, and I get the Aurora to go after their Brilliant, and then I start working towards ours. So it's kind of a race against the clock here. I was a little annoyed that that Glimmer is going to take one more shot. I wish I did just an ounce more damage. Anyway, this build, the build for the ziggurat that I'm using, will be in the Discord. so you can definitely check there. Uh, there should be a card that pops up right now, and it'll link you to that. I might do a ship showcase on it, but I typically don't like to do um, spoilery content on my channel. This isn't the best ziggurat build, also, so maybe not. Anyway, we mop up the rest of the fleet. The Brilliant, while it was up there, made short work of some of the scintillas that were nearby. So, at the end of the day, it got the job done. Anyway, we pin down this last Brilliant and send in all the Reapers. It's lights out. And we are successful against our Remnant Widow. I am not going to say how many attempts, um, how many Remnant Ordos I had to fight to get this Radiant. I am just glad that we got it. The answer was 4. Also, we get an Alpha Core for our troubles, which is fantastic. We already had an Alpha Core, but now we have one more. So, that's really nice. Anyway, see you back in my Asura. And here is Summer Olympus at the end of today's episode. So currently level 12. I did a lot of changes here. We respect technology, leadership, and combat. The reason being is I needed phase coil tuning. It's just a must-have, I think, when it comes to having phase ships in the fleet. Me personally piloting the Ziggurat, this made a world of difference. It gave us phase anchor, which is what we need to have high uptime on those Tachyon Lances. Next up, we picked up Officer Training, which gives us an additional level to all of our officers, as well as an elite skill. And Best of the Best, which allows us to install a third S-mod into our fleet, or into our ships. Next up, I picked up Helmsmanship and Combat Endurance. I don't know if I should have picked up red skills or combat skills. I probably should have focused on industry because again we do have those constraints. But here's the fleet as is: the Monitor, the Aurora, the Ziggurat, a Radiance, and a Griffin. The Griffin is in a flex slot. If I ever need to move like some serious freight, then I swap the Griffin out with an Atlas. But for combat's sake, this is the fleet. Here's the Ziggurat's build. Still highly experimental. Not really sure how I want to build it. Um, of course, it would be better if we had some more of those special weapons that we got from the cache, but those are very few and far between. So the Ziggurat is not done. I will be iterating on this many times over, but that's what we have for now. And then here is the Radiant. This is a design that I came up with. I don't know if this is the best Radiant design, but it is really good for what we need, which is projecting power both versus single target and in a large area. This Radiant is designed to be very maneuverable, turn quickly. In addition, I know it has phase skim, but in addition to phase skim, I just wanted to be able to rotate in case phase skim is on cooldown. So it can turn very quickly with those auxiliary thrusters, and also having Helmsmanship Elite. The weapon group is a little bit of a mess, but the main thing is that everything is linked. So there are 2 of every weapon, and each weapon is linked, so they fire in tandem. And then here's the Griffin. Um, Nothing particularly interesting about it. It's just a good Griffin. Well, it helped us get the Ziggurat, which helped us get the Radiant, so I can't really complain. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. It was a ton of fun, and I know it went by very quickly, but we're entering the end game here, and there's not many episodes left. But yeah, I'm very excited for what happens next, though, and I hope you are too. Other than that, Grumpy out. And now I want to give a giant thank you to all of my YouTube members. It means so much to me that you guys are willing to support. I want to give a very special thank you to Zoni and to Wet Noodle. If you would like to become a YouTube member, then feel free to hit the join button. Again, it is not required. You do so out of the kindness of your heart. I will continue to make free content, but if you do want to help me monetize the channel, then memberships would be the best way of supporting me. Thank you so much. Other than that, Grumpy out.